Noah was born as the 13th son in the royal family, as one of the 13 imperial princes born from the loins of the king. He opens up his eyes to find a kindly woman looking down at him and wonders whether this person is his mother or just some maid. But before he could figure that out, the face of an old bearded man which turns out to be his father, and the king comes near him to inspect him from top to bottom. The king mentions that Noah seems to have taken after his mother, and his mother immediately shies away, claiming that his eyes and eyebrows look just like that of the king. Noah notices that he can see his own stats, but nothing seems to make sense for him just yet. Suddenly, one of the court mages walks up and holds him delicately in his arms before announcing to the king that Noah has the magical affinity of water. The king laughs at that merrily, claiming that when Noah comes of age, he will be given the lands of southern kingdoms where most of the water mage clans live so that he can rule over them justly. With that, the king asks the court mage to have a look at Noah's stats. But the moment his stats are revealed, the entire court goes silent, while even the king has trouble believing his own eyes. One of the people in the court scream that it's a miracle, while the others join the chant, which confuses Noah, who then checks his own stats, only to realize that he has the stats of an SS-ranked water mage, which is unheard of, let alone attaining it at birth. 6 years pass by after that day, and Noah has grown up to be a healthy young lad. He slowly learnt about the kingdom of mirrors, which his father rules over, where things have been calm for several decades, now as people live peacefully without any war. The king is well loved by the general public, as are his sons, who are adored by the locals as well as the noble families of the country. But Noah is not really interested in the political intrigue of the kingdom, as he has realized something in the past 6 years about himself. It turns out that he has a special gift which no one else is aware of. He can leech off the XP of his subordinates, which means that the more maids he has, the stronger he can become. This also means that unlike other people who have a cap on their levels, Noah can rank up indefinitely and become the strongest mage on the planet. His maids seem to be completely loyal to him, as they discuss how even at the age of 6, Noah behaves more like an adult than a young kid. He soon goes on to the dining room for some breakfast and thinks about how his abilities and skills are pretty limited at this point because of his young age, but if he keeps training, he should continue to grow at a rapid pace and outshine his older brothers as well. His thoughts are broken by a beautiful maid named Evelyn, who tells him that the crown prince of the kingdom and the 4th prince have both come to visit him. Noah decides to quickly wrap up his breakfast, as even though they are his brothers, he shouldn't make the crown prince to the entire kingdom wait. He soon enters the guest room and goes to one knee as he welcomes his older brothers, the crown prince Albert and the 4th prince Henry. Albert looks at Noah with cold eyes, asking where he was, while Henry greets him more warmly, claiming that Noah seems to be growing into a courteous young man. Albert claims that Noah will make a fine chancellor one day and tells him that he has a present for Noah. He claps his hands, and immediately a terrified servant enters the room carrying a small coffin into the room as it emanates a deadly aura. Noah is confused about such a weird present, but Albert orders the servant to open the coffin, which he reluctantly is forced to do. The moment he opens the coffin, an aura of dead and dying men erupts into the room, which Noah can clearly feel as he stares at the sword inside the coffin, wondering what the hell did he just feel. Before he had a chance to regain his composure, Albert tells him to pick it up and see how it feels. Noah realizes that he doesn't really want to handle the blade, but considering that it's a gift from the royal prince, he can't really refuse and is forced to pick it up. He grabs the sword gently and picks it up, even though it's too big for his tiny body right now. Albert smiles and tells Noah that he knew Noah could do it, and finally explains that this blade is a special sword designed for water mages to wield and is known as Leviathan. He also reveals that before him, more than 120 people have tried holding it, but none survived to tell the tale. This scares him, and he almost drops the shiny blade. But Henry tells him not to worry, as the curse of this sword is so strong that he would have died the moment he touched it, if the sword refused to accept him. With that, Albert and Henry both get up to leave, while Noah bows down, thinking to himself how this despicable crown prince, who is unfortunately his own older brother, was testing him with such a dangerous task for absolutely no reason. But he knows that if he said it out loud, it would mean his head on a spike. Later that evening, while Noah was getting ready for bed, he notices that one of his maids seemed to be very tense, so he asks her whether she is okay. Zoe the maid at first hesitates, but when Noah pushes for the truth, she immediately goes to one knee, claiming that she wants some time off as there has been a flood in her village and everything is swept away. His family is starving, and she plans to sell her body in the red light district in hopes of collecting enough money to help her family. Noah tells her to stop talking, claiming that Zoe is his personal maid and he can't let her go for so long. He tells her to bring her mother to the estate and he will give her the job of the rear gate closer and pay her $5,000 a month. Zoe is confused at this and claims that she has never heard of any position like this, and even then the salary seems to be incredibly high. Noah tells her not to worry about that and also tells her that there is an empty house in the western outskirts of the capital which she can occupy and live in with her mother. Zoe can't believe her ears and starts tearing up when Dylan, the house butler, comes out and asks Noah whether he wanted anything. Noah asks him whether he is aware of the flooding in Zoe's hometown and tells him to buy as much land as possible in that area. Dylan is confused since that would be a bad investment. But Noah tells him that they need to protect the people in need there, as if they don't intervene a bunch of villains will occupy that land and start squatting. Dylan is shocked at this, and Noah asks what's wrong. But Dylan replies that he is just surprised at how well Noah is managing the situation with the foresight of an experienced man, considering he has never experienced anything like this before. Noah thinks about how he has seen more than his fair share of destruction in his previous life, but he obviously cannot reveal that to anyone. Dylan replies that according to his estimation, the entire land should cost roughly $70 million, which shocks Zoe. Even Noah knows that it is a very huge amount. His entire group of retainers earn roughly $80,000 a year. He himself has some $50 million in funds from taxes and gifts from his brothers. But that still leaves $20 million. He turns and asks Dylan about the land that they have in the south of the capital and claims that they will have to sell that land. Dylan is shocked and advises Noah against it since that land was a gift from his father, the king himself, and selling that land would be unimaginably rude to his own imperial family. Noah tells him not to worry about all that as he will deal with his own father later, and tells them that nobles have the duty to sacrifice themselves in order to bring peace and happiness amongst their subjects. More than that, he also knows that a noble who plays the martyr is loved by the public, which might come in handy sooner or later. Dylan bows down to him and tells him that he will deal with everything before leaving to make all the necessary preparations. The next morning, Noah gets ready with his army of maids to prepare everything for an inspection of the flooded area when he gets called out by the fourth Prince Henry. He immediately runs up to him with a warm greeting, apologizing for not coming earlier, but Henry tells him not to worry about it and asks where exactly is Noah planning to go. Noah replies that there is a region named Dasa, which has completely been flooded, and he aims to buy some land there and is planning to inspect the area to assess damage. Henry notices the sword given to him by Albert and asks him whether he is planning to use that during his visit. Noah replies that he is carrying it just in case he has to use it, but he is not sure yet, since he hasn't felt any different about it since his first encounter. Henry takes Noah away from the prying eyes and tells him that he was a little worried about that sword and Albert's sudden generosity, so he did some research on his own and found out that the sword seems to have a mind of its own and can only be controlled by someone who it acknowledges as its true master. Noah remembers the vision he had about all the previous people who tried mastering it, and realizes that this sword is basically like a mad dog, and he will have to earn its ownership before he can truly master it. Henry tells him to be careful and advises against using it unless absolutely necessary, as he has a bad feeling that the sword will take his life, just as it has taken hundreds of people before him. With that bit of warning, Noah leaves for the region of Dasa, and is surprised to see the level of destruction caused by the floods. He tells Dylan to find out the government office nearby and figure out the deeds of these lands, and then he moves into the village alongside Zoe to get a better idea of what's happening on the ground. He notices men in crudely made shelters rounding up to get the government relief food, which makes him a little happy, but that disappears completely when he takes a bite of the shitty porridge being served to them. He can't believe how can the government have such low standards, and was going to ask for the local official of this area, when luckily, the local official, named Lord Garl, enters the area for an inspection. Noah expected him to take actions against the terrible quality of food, but to his surprise, the man blocked his nose and took a look at the porridge before claiming that it was sufficient, which made the cooks happy, who are basically taking advantage of the situation. The chief cook tells him that his food is ready at the mansion, and Garl immediately decides to leave for the feast which was awaiting him. Noah couldn't stand this and immediately goes ahead to confront the man. He calls Garl a corrupt little bastard with a tiny peepee, which hits him where it hurts the most, and the man with the fragile ego immediately pulls a sword at Noah. Noah immediately calls for the sword Leviathan that Albert gave him, hoping that it would kill him, and the sword immediately flies towards him. At first he thought that the sword would just obey him, But he suddenly realizes the true strength of the sword as it starts resisting him, burning him with its powerful sinister aura. Noah, however, refuses to back off and continues on and finally manages to overcome the sword, taking control of the legendary blade once and for all. Once that was done, Garl had no chance, as Noah easily parried his attack and decided that the sentence for cheating the locals during a time of disaster is nothing other than death. With one swift slash, Noah cleaved the head clean off, shocking everyone in the area. Immediately, the guards start surrounding them, and he would have gotten lynched. But he smashes the sword in the ground, creating an incredibly deep hole in the earth, shocking everyone. The chaos attracted the attention of the knight named Rowan, who was recently appointed as the manager of this area, and he immediately recognizes Noah and goes down to his knee. Everyone was surprised, but they soon follow suit, taking a knee in front of him, while Noah tells Rowan that the first thing he needs to do is to make sure everyone here gets good food. And Rowan immediately apologizes for his oversight and gets on the task. After he returns, Noah gets immediately called down to the capital by his father, where he expected to get scolded. But to his surprise, his father praised him for taking the decisions when he took them and checks his stats again, which has grown since the last time he saw them. He thanks Noah for his help and tells him that he will need him to continue aiding him in ruling this kingdom. A couple days pass by, but Noah stays in the capital of the city, as this city is the beating heart of the entire kingdom and the most prosperous place by far, where loads of talented people come to find work. His plan is to bag one of these talented people for himself so that he can increase his own stats and quickly become a force to be reckoned with. His first candidate is a young girl that he has heard about who is supposed to be an incredible singer who has recently been in the talks as a brilliant up-and-comer. He finds out the theater that she is going to perform at and takes a seat alongside Zoe to see whether she is worth the talks or not. Soon, a young girl with a top hat named Ollie emerges on the stage and gets ready to perform in front of an audience. She soon starts singing, and immediately Noah is mesmerized with her voice. He knows that he is not the best technical singer that he has ever heard of, but she is definitely the singer who seems to really love her craft a lot. He thinks that with the right training and guidance, she can achieve greatness and starts considering taking her under his wing. Before the performance could even end though, a bunch of goons break inside the theater and shout at Ollie to shut her dumb ass up. The entire audience hold their breath, wondering what these villains want, while Ollie stands there scared while the goons make their way towards the stage. One of the workers tries to intervene, but the fatty immediately pushes him aside before jumping on the stage itself. He screams at her to pay up, claiming that singing on these stages won't get her enough money to pay her father's debts. She shivers as she tells him to please let her go, as she is trying to earn money and will pay them soon. But the fatty tells her that this is a garbage way of making money, and if she wants to earn loads of money quick and easy, she needs to start a social media channel and upload thirst traps there or sell feed pics, and maybe her bath water. She tells him that she is a respected girl and would never swoop down to do things like that. But the fatty threatens to break both her legs if she doesn't do as he says. That's when Noah decides to intervene and tells Fatty to step away from the girl immediately. The fatty turns around and tells Noah to go back to her mom's lap and drink some milk, or he will beat the crap out of him. Noah doesn't care though. He jumps down from the seat and starts walking towards the stage, telling Fatty that it's illegal to make children assume their parents' law by the decree of the imperial law. Moreover, it's also illegal to force people to sell their bodies in order to pay any sort of debts. The fatty angrily grabs him by the collar and lifts him up in the air, claiming that today is Noah's last day on Earth. But he doesn't really know who he is talking to. With the flick of his fingers, Noah creates a menacing purple aura that knocks all three of the goons to the ground, while Noah takes out his sword and points it at the fatty. The goons realize that they might be outmatched at this point, so they immediately tuck their tails between their legs and immediately start running away. Zoe goes towards the injured worker and helps him up, while Noah tells him that he should send them to him if they ever come back to this place to harass anyone. Zoe hands him a business card, and the worker is shocked to see that the boy in front of them is actually a prince of this kingdom. Noah doesn't really care about the fanfare though, and turns around towards Ollie and asks what her monthly expenses are. She thinks about it for a while, considering the fact that she also has to deal with her mother's treatment, and replies that her monthly expenses should be around $600. Noah tells her that he will pay her $2,500 every month so that she can work on her singing and get better. She is shocked to hear that and can't really believe her own ears, while Noah tells her that her salary would also increase as she gets better. With that, he tells her to complete the song, as he would love to hear how it ends, and returns back to his seat. Later that evening, when he returned back to his own home, he was greeted by his maids when he suddenly notices that the goons from the afternoon are bowing their heads to the ground, begging an audience so that they can apologize. He knows that only now did they realize that he was the prince of the kingdom, but he decides not to entertain them and tells her maid to turn them away, claiming that a prince does not have time to meet with people randomly. Just then, his older brother Henry also arrives, claiming that he has made the right decision as he would devalue his own authority as a prince if he talks to these plebs anytime they want to. Noah tells him that it was not the only reason why he decided to turn them away and explains that he wants them to think that he is still really angry about the stunt they pulled with the girl today, and that might scare them enough to not try and bother her again. Henry asks who this girl is and why does he seem so invested in her. He claims that he is a really good singer, and he thinks that she can be an asset for the kingdom if she keeps improving herself. Henry smiles, claiming that he is very young, but still thinks about the complexities of the situation like an adult. He mentions that Gary is close to his age, but he acts like a total child and is nowhere as smart as him. Noah politely replies that Gary would also start understanding the situation soon enough. He knows that even though he calls them his brothers, Henry and Gary are true blood-related brothers since they are from the same mother, while he has a different mother. Henry then turns the conversation towards his sword, claiming that he didn't really think it possible, but Noah seriously seems to have mastered the sword. He then asks where exactly is the sword and how does he even carry it as it is supposed to be too big for him anyways. Noah gets up and shows how he does it as he quickly uses his magic to summon the sword right in front of his brother. Henry was shocked as this was the first time he saw someone pull things out of their ass and asks how far in did he put it and whether it hurt. Noah tells him that it's nothing like that and he simply shrinks the sword to a small size and then hides it right inside his own sleeve. Henry is left speechless and sits back down with a thud, claiming with a sigh that Noah simply amazes him since that sword was thought to be cursed and put away with all the other national treasures for over 2 centuries at this point, and no one in written history is known to have conquered that blade. Later that night, Noah decides to go to a celebration that he was invited to and spots the goons still on the ground. The fatty gets enraged once again since he keeps getting ignored and screams that he can kill him anywhere he wants, so he shouldn't try to act all high and mighty. In retaliation, Noah simply unleashes a tiny amount of energy from his sword, which immediately brings the fatty down to his knees once again. Noah then gets into the carriage and soon arrives at his destination, where an old man named Ray welcomes him inside. The ballroom immediately starts buzzing with excitement as the news of the 13th prince in the ballroom starts stirring. Ray asks Noah about the sword that he is carrying, and he replies that it's the legendary sword which was thought to be cursed, and it was gifted to him by the Crown Prince Albert. This immediately impresses everyone in the room as they start talking about how getting a personal gift from the Crown Prince is a very big deal. One of the men there with a fragile ego immediately spouts some nonsense about how the sword must be a replica toy, not realizing that he was speaking so loudly that everyone in the room could hear it. The chatter of the room dies down completely as everyone looks at Noah while the guy starts pissing his pants, wondering what's going to happen now. Noah doesn't even lift a finger, but suddenly a deathly aura erupts from his sword and covers the entire room, putting them in a trance. Noah immediately tells the sword to stop and the aura goes away, while Ray is surprised by the powers, claiming that everyone in the room felt a little closer to death. A little while later, he sits down on a small throne while everyone in the room walk up to him to pay their homage and gain his favor. All of them felt pretty boring to him, but then finally a blonde man named Alan walks up and introduces himself and his adopted daughter Cindy. The girl seemed alert by the presence of Noah, but Noah decided to ignore that and asks how did he come to adopt her. Alan explains that he originally bought her from a slave market, but she showed a lot of will and resolve and was a really quick learner while being socially intelligent. Since he didn't have any kids of his own, he decided to adopt her as her own daughter. Noah smiles at him, claiming that he loves stories like this and invites the duo back to his mansion to chat some more. Alan seemed really pleased by the fact that only he was acknowledged amongst them all. But Noah tells Ray that the main reason why he acknowledged them is because Cindy is somehow aware of his power. He demonstrates by releasing a little bit of energy from his sword, but Cindy immediately recognizes that and turns around to make sure they were not going to get attacked. A couple days pass by since that incident when one day while Noah was out on a stroll, he meets with the 8th Prince Oscar, who decides to take a walk with him through the market and try to find some interesting stuff. While looking through a bunch of crap, Noah notices a grimoire, and once he picks it up, it suddenly changes on of his stats to S ranked. He immediately gets interested and buys it, but notices his sword seems to be reacting to it. Oscar seems to recognizes the book as a magical tome made by some sorcerer long ago. But the book suddenly opens up and releases a huge monster out in the open. Oscar tells Noah to back off and go to safety, but Noah simply takes out his sword and squares up to the demon. He tries to slice through the magical being but fails for the first time. That's when he decides to use a bit of extra magic with his next slice and aims it upwards so he doesn't destroy anything else. With that, the magical creature ceases to exist while Oscar stands there wondering how strong is his little brother at this point. Watching this amazing feat, one of the shopkeepers run out and bow to the ground, requesting Noah to have a look at an item he has in his shop which might as well be a treasure. He takes the princes back to his shop and shows them a magical ring, claiming that this ring has yet to accept anyone as the owner, and asks Noah to try it. Noah puts the ring on his thumb and immediately the magic activates and his entire body gets covered with a beautiful plate of armor. The shopkeeper is shocked, but Noah really likes it and buys it at that very instant. But Oscar refuses to let him pay for it, claiming that it will be a gift to him from his side. With that out of the way, he decides to head back to the theater to watch Ali sing. But the moment he gets out the carriage, Fatty attacks him with a sword. Noah immediately uses a shield in his ring to block the attack, while the carriage driver subdues the Fatty to the ground and captures him. Noah doesn't really care about it at this point and enters the auditorium to watch Ali on stage, dealing with two drunk men who are fighting with each other over her. Noah intervenes and uses his magic to destroy their clothes, after which they run away from the theater. He then calls the owner in and tells him that he is disappointed with the security or the lack thereof in this theater and offers him to buy the entire place. The owner was a little hesitant, but Zoe immediately produces $100,000 out of her ass, which gives the owner all the motivation he needed, and he immediately sells it. Zoe thanks the prince, claiming that she can never repay the debt she owes him. But he tells her to focus on singing as he wants her to sing in front of the king one day. With that, he sits back down in the audience as Ollie begins one of her songs specially for him. The next day, all of Noah's maids help him get ready and then tell him that he has an appointment today. As Noah reads the request for a meeting from a guy named Dead, who is the governor of the region of Hulljoy that falls in Noah's domain, he decides to have a good chat with him about the current status of his territory. Noah tells the maids to let the guy in and then starts drip farming for no reason. Soon, Dead is kneeling in front of Noah as he introduces himself as the Governor General of Hulljoy. He recites the entire formal speech that everyone does while licking the boots of royals, but Noah tells him to skip the part and get a seat. Once they sit down, Noah remarks that they have met before too, and Dead affirms, saying that he came to greet him about 18 months ago when he was appointed the Governor of Hulljoy by the Emperor himself. Noah asks him how is his job going currently, especially since there was a huge flood in Hulljoy, and Dead is the one who has to manage things after it. The gloomy expression on Dead's face gives Noah his answer, and he knows that things are not good. Hulljoy is one of the major food grain producing areas of the empire, but it is quite vulnerable to flooding, just like the DMs of any decent looking girl on social media. That is why the emperor appointed Dead as its governor, because he comes from the land of water mages, and everyone thought he would be able to do something about the flooding situation. Noah decides to learn the problems he faces before judging him and asks what is the issue. Dead replies that they don't have any funding, and without money, nothing can be done. Noah can't believe this because it was an imperial order to issue funds to rebuild Hulljoy, and Dead replies that the Home Ministry is sitting on their funds, and they always make some excuses whenever he tries withdrawing those funds. Noah understands the entire situation now, and he immediately tells Dead to follow him to the house of Finance Minister Maverick, who is busy eating juicy steak for breakfast. He keeps stuffing his wrinkled mouth as he asks what brings a prince to see him, and Noah gets to business right away. He asks the old bastard why is he not giving Dead the money he needs to rebuild Hulljoy, and Maverick says that he has a good reason for that. Noah warns him that if he says that a kid won't understand the reason, he will make him eat the steak from his ass, and the old fatty is annoyed by it. But he can't talk back against a prince. He agrees to explain his reasons, and says that Hulljoy suffered from severe floods, so the emperor showed his grace and exempted them from paying any tax for the year. He says that they should just use the money they saved from not paying taxes to rebuild them, and Noah immediately calls the minister out on his bullshit. He reminds him that the emperor cancelled taxes because the people of Hulljoy didn't have any money to pay it. He asks Maverick how dare he talk like the people of Hulljoy have money, and then asks if he is underestimating him because he is a kid. Maverick stammers on hearing this and decides to change his story. He says that the Ministry of Finance can't spare any money for rebuilding Hulljoy right now, because they are building a summer retreat for the Emperor. He tries to convince Noah that since the Emperor is going to use the summer retreat, it must be grand, and they are building an entire city around to give him the level of luxury he deserves. Ded thinks that all hopes are lost because they cannot say anything when the Emperor's name gets involved. But he forgets that Noah is literally the Emperor's son. He orders the old bastard to stop talking out of his ass, because he is disrespecting the Emperor by saying that he wants a luxurious summer villa when his people are struggling to stay alive. Maverick knows that if he is proven guilty of lying about the Emperor, his entire family will be unalived with him, and he immediately falls to his knees, telling Noah that he is misunderstanding the situation. He promises that he will immediately distribute the funds to Hulljoy and orders his servants to get on the task urgently. Noah returns to calmly sipping his tea after winning the battle of wits against Maverick, and Ded is truly impressed by his negotiation skills. He begins glazing Noah, saying that he has brilliant skills and he caught a seasoned liar's contradictions with ease. He apologizes for trying to use him to get funds and falls on the ground to grovel. Noah also realizes that Ded was just trying to use his influence as a prince to strong-arm the minister into giving him money. But he doesn't mind that because he would have helped his people either way. After getting the funds, Ded immediately leaves to rebuild his territory, and just then, a messenger arrives from the palace, saying that the Emperor has summoned Noah urgently. Noah wastes no time in heading back to the palace and greets his dad, who is feeding pigeons to relax his mind. The Emperor starts the conversation by praising Noah for completely defeating the greedy finance minister with his wit, and Noah is dumbfounded that his father knows of things that just happened. His doubts are so loud that the Emperor can guess them already, and he tells his son that information is the greatest weapon he can have, and he needs to keep it polished. Noah internalizes that advice, and then says that he just did the natural thing by subduing the finance minister. The Emperor replies that doing the right thing is not easy for most people, because they get swayed by flattery and lose track of what is right. He turns around and gives Noah a head pat, saying that he is already better than most people in the world at the age of 6. He then asks Noah to rise, and commends on his ability to master the legendary sword Leviathan, whose dark history terrifies everyone who tries to wield it. Noah realizes how dangerous the sword is after seeing numerous examples, and then his father tells him that he should also learn the techniques to wield his weapon properly. For that purpose, he has arranged a swordsmanship instructor for him. Immediately, a seasoned knight named Damien kneels before the Emperor and Noah. The Emperor introduces him as the greatest swordsman in the Empire and asks Noah to learn well from him. Damien immediately requests the Emperor's permission for a bout with the prince, because he wants to see his raw skill and potential before taking him up as a student. The Emperor grants permission to him, and Noah realizes that his father trusts Damien completely. Damien draws his huge sword and tells Noah to attack him however he wants. Noah takes his stance, but then his sword starts acting up. He tries to subdue it and attacks Damien, who is impressed by his first strike. Noah feels the memories of the past users of Leviathan flowing into his mind, and he uses those memories to disarm Damien within a few blows. The knight accepts defeat and tells the Emperor that he can't teach anything to Noah, since his technique is already on par with a swordmaster. The Emperor proudly laughs on hearing this, and he decides to reward Noah's skill by making him the head judge of this year's knight selection exam. Noah gladly accepts the responsibility, because he knows that all the skilled warriors from the Empire take part in the exam, because the winner can rise up to the rank of nobility. He knows that the first job of the winner is to become the head judge's subordinate, and he feels that he can become even stronger with a strong warrior under his command. The Emperor then asks Noah if he wants to hold the exam in elimination mode or in league format. However, instead of giving an answer to this, Noah makes a surprising request. He wants to omit the regional preliminary round, and instead hold the entire exam in the capital, so that he can judge all the warriors himself and make sure no talented warrior is eliminated for unjust reasons. The Emperor tells him to do whatever he wants, and with that, Noah returns home. He talks to Zoe about the knight selection exam and asks if there is a candidate in her village too. She affirms, saying that they send the same guy to the exam each year, hoping that he will bring glory to their village. Noah tells her that there are no prelims this year, so they can send more guys. But talent is not the problem. Zoe timidly tells Noah that they only send one guy because that is all they can afford even after opening a GoFundMe for the guy. She says that everything is expensive in the capital, from meals to lodging, and no one has money for that. Noah decides to solve that issue as well, declaring that he will cover the expenses of all the participants so that no talented warrior loses even before fighting. He immediately summons Dylan and tells him to buy all the empty houses in the capital, and if that is not enough to accommodate all the participants, he orders him to build some dormitories. As for the issue of food, Noah tells the butler to talk to all the merchants they have connections to, and he personally goes to talk to Alan about the matter as well. Alan gives him an estimate, but Noah can tell that he has given him a huge discount that would leave him with a loss. He asks the reason behind that, and Alan politely says that they can't refuse a request from the 13th prince. That sort of flattery is not going to work on Noah, and he claims that no merchant gives away their money for no reason. Alan is surprised that Noah caught his ulterior motives and tells him that there is an exam to select servants for the royal palace that is held on the same scale at the knight selection exam. He claims that he wants to know what sort of people are selected there, and Noah immediately becomes familiar with his game. He realizes that Alan wants to put a girl in the palace so that she can give him any new information that circulates there. On top of that, if the king becomes the girl's sugar daddy, Alan can rake in a lot of profit. Alan suddenly gets nervous and tells Noah that his request is not related to this matter, because he has already sent a gift for the servant selection exam matter to his mansion. Noah is impressed that Alan knows how to please people, and he decides to support him. He says that if it is a girl that he approves of, he will surely recommend her to work at the palace. Alan is super excited on hearing this, but Noah tells him to hold his horses because the girls need to please his demands fully. Alan is glad to accept his condition and signals to Cindy, saying that he will select a girl that will meet all his demands. He then kneels before Noah, saying that he is deeply grateful that a prince graces an ordinary merchant like him with his kindness and keen observation, and he would like to add the crest of the 13th prince to his stores to prove his loyalty to him. Noah is pleased to hear that, but he warns Alan that he will not forgive any sort of betrayal. Noah returns home with that, and finds that his stats have increased after taking Alan as a subordinate. But then suddenly, he notices one of his stats going down, and the SS rank on his water attribute turns to a plain S rank. Noah becomes worried that something might have happened in his territory of Almeria, and he tells Zoe to immediately head to the palace because he needs to meet the emperor. She relays his order to the carriage driver, and Noah is in front of the emperor minutes later. He tells him that something bad has happened in Almeria, and the tone of the emperor's response makes him realize that he is already aware of it. The emperor tells him that he just has an idea that something is wrong, but there is no proof yet. Just then, a servant comes there and whispers something in his ears, confirming his doubts. The emperor tells Noah that he did a great job in figuring out that something is wrong, because there is a rebellion in Almeria. He asks Noah how big does he think it is at the moment, and seeing that only one of his skills dropped in value, Noah figures that it is not a large rebellion at the moment. The king affirms that and says that they have spotted around 5,000 rebels in Almeria. He asks Noah if he has any plans to put that rebellion down himself, and he says that it will not be possible for him because he is young and has no experience in combat, and he doesn't know if the soldiers will obey him sincerely. He suggests that the emperor send another prince to subdue the rebellion, and the old man is surprised at Noah's rational approach to this sensitive issue. He decides to support his decision and asks if he would nominate anyone to wipe out the rebels. Noah suggests that Henry would be the best person for this job because he trusts his judgment. The emperor sends Henry with Noah to suppress the rebels, and Henry asks Noah if he is sure that he wants someone else to take the glory because merit in the battlefield will help him out in the future. Noah says that he needs experience to lead his soldiers, and he doesn't want them to die in vain because of his faulty leadership. Just then, his sword reacts to some hostility, and Noah immediately orders the carriage to be stopped. He figures out that some enemies are after his life, and decides to face them head-on instead of relying on his brother's help. He jumps out of the carriage, and the torches alongside the route go off. The next moment, water pillars erupt from the ground to attack him from all sides. But Noah blocks them all by transforming Leviathan into a shield. He realizes that the water-using attackers must be the rebels from Almeria, and immediately takes them down with his skilled swordplay. Henry is impressed by his growth, and says that it would have been nice if they got to interrogate these bastards. Noah tells him that they can still do it because he didn't kill them, and only knocked them out with his sword's aura. Henry is once more impressed by his brother, and then says that he had heard the rebels had mostly cavalrymen, so he wasn't expecting any assassins. Hearing that statement makes Noah realize something is wrong, because they don't have good war horses in Almeria, The next day, he goes to Alan and tells him the top secret that there has been a rebellion in Almeria. He gives Alan $10,000 to buy all the horse feed in the market immediately, because he has already figured out that the rebels bought the war horses from someone else, but they need to buy feed from nearby markets itself. If they can't buy any, they will not be able to get enough feed to sustain their horses even after looting the civilians, and that way, they will become significantly weaker in battle. Soon after that, the Emperor calls Noah to tell him that he put his men to interrogate the assassins, and they managed to get some useful information out of them. The assassins were not aiming to kill Noah, but instead, they wanted to kidnap him and use him as a bargaining chip. However, Noah tells his daddy that any assassin who spills the beans so easily is most probably lying. The Emperor is proud that his son has common sense beyond his years, but he tells him not to worry because he has a way to know if someone is lying or not. Noah is not really interested in the art of torture, so he decides to believe what the Emperor is saying. The Emperor then praises Noah for quickly dealing with the rebels, because if he got caught, they would have a hard time dealing with the rebels. On top of that, he is happy that Noah thought of the strategy to focus on the horses of the rebel army. Noah's eyes widen in shock because he gave Alan the order to buy horse feed just minutes ago, and his father already knows this. The Emperor continues praising Noah, saying that anyone would have thought of the starvation strategy, and the Crown Prince Albert actually wanted to starve the rebels to make an example of them. However, Noah decided to focus on their horses to reduce their strength, and he used his own money for that. The Emperor pats his shoulder, telling him that he has great ideas and the courage to act on them quickly, which is not easy to do. Noah feels a new kink awakening inside him after getting praised by Daddy, and then the Emperor decides to reward him for his brilliant thinking. He allows Noah to add a sword to his crest, which is a bigger reward than you might think. In a nation of warriors, no one can add a sword to their crest without the Emperor's permission, and if they do so, they might be executed. Meanwhile, getting the Emperor's approval to include a flag in the crest is a great honor for anyone, and Noah tries his best to hide his excitement on getting this great reward. A little later that day, Alan comes to visit Noah, who walks towards him with his baby steps and takes a couple minutes to reach him. Noah says that he is early, and Alan replies that he knows all the types of feed that is sold in the market, and also the routes it is transported through, so buying all of it won't be difficult. However, he is worried that Karfun, the leader of rebels, is a ruthless man who won't stop at anything to achieve his goal. He warns Noah to be careful while dealing with him. When a maid comes there to tell him that there is an injured man at their gate, Noah decides to see what is going on, and finds a badly injured knight, who kneels before him and says that a rebellion has started in Almeria. He claims that his superior is involved in the rebellion as well, but he did not follow him, and instead came here to report to the prince. Alan thinks that the knight risked his life for nothing because they already know about the rebellion, but Noah thanks the knight and orders his maid to treat his injuries. He starts walking away, but then turns back and orders to give the knight $1,000 in reward. Alan follows after him, asking why is he burning his money by rewarding the knight for information that he already had. Noah replies that he is not rewarding the knight for his information, but for his loyalty and bravery. Later that night, Zoe enters Noah's office, looking extremely distressed. She collapses to the ground before saying anything, and Noah asks her what is wrong with her. Zoe first offers him a pouch containing $500 and then a small bottle. She says that an unknown man offered her this reward to make him drink the sleeping medicine and then hand him over to them. Noah realizes that the rebels want him at all cost, and they are more desperate than the hot single mothers in my area that have posted their ads on all the websites. He asks Zoe why did she bring the bottle to him, and she starts crying. She claims that the men told her they would kill her if she failed to drug Noah, but she cannot betray him ever. Noah silently walks to his desk and writes a check of $5,000 for Zoe, telling her that this is her reward for not selling her loyalty for cheap. Zoe's head starts spinning at this amount, and she says that she cannot accept it. But Noah tells her to be a good girl and take the reward. She starts crying and thanking him, but Noah says that he needs her to do something for him. He tells her that he is going to drink the medicine and pass out, and then she is going to take him to the men who contacted her. He tells her to run away as soon as she hands him over so that they don't silence her. Zoe is terrified of the thought, but Noah has made up his mind to meet the desperate rebels. A few hours later, he wakes up in the middle of nowhere and overhears the kidnappers talk about how killing him is a last resort, and they need to keep him safe as per Karfun's orders. Noah allows the drug to wear off completely before assessing his situation and finds that his hands and legs are tied. However, the rebels would suck at playing search and destroy, because they didn't realize Noah was hiding Leviathan inside his ear instead of his ass this time. He takes it out and returns it to its normal size before using his magic ring to create a water blade to cut the rope tying him. Next, he decides to see what happened to him through the memories of his sword. He sees himself sitting unconscious in his office and Zoe running away as the rebels surround him. They decided to ignore her because getting Noah out of his mansion was top priority, and they brought him to an open carriage. With the recap complete, Noah gets ready to deal with the rebels who are taking a break around a campfire. The leader of the group gets pissed at whoever tied the knots, and then Noah jumps down with his sword. The bandits underestimate him and tell him to surrender nicely because his brother is not here to protect him this time. One of them takes out his sword to beat Noah and recapture him. But he can't even take a step forward before Noah charges at him and splits open all the veins and arteries in his neck. As the first rebel dies, the others get intimidated and Noah says that he wanted to get some information. But everyone here is an idiot who doesn't even know that it was not Henry who defeated the assassins. The rebels get ready to fight, but Noah smokes them all effortlessly. Just then, he sees Zoe leading a group of knights towards him and asks her what is she doing here. Zoe tells him that she got worried about him and brought the knights to save him. But there was no need for that as all of the rebels are already defeated. Noah calls forward the captain of the knights and tells him to take away the rebels. One of the rebels drops a weird-looking dagger, and a knight is about to pick it up. But Noah senses something is wrong and immediately tells him to stop. He orders everyone to get back as he steps towards the dagger that is emitting a strong cursed energy that he can sense because of his mastery over Leviathan. He faintly remembers the rebels talking about the cursed dagger that they would use to kill him if things went south. He can sense the hatred of the man who put the curse on the dagger. And for a brief moment he sees his face too. Noah immediately recognizes him as the leader of the rebels and decides to deal with him personally. He talks to Leviathan, asking if it can help him execute his plan because it would be pretty easy for a legendary water element sword like it. Leviathan glows to give a positive answer and Noah channels its cursed energy to shoot a stream of cursed water towards the sky. The cursed stream goes high above the clouds and halfway across the empire, reaching Carfun and hitting him. The next day, the Emperor summons Noah again and kneels down to his level to pat his shoulders for the extraordinary feat he just accomplished. He got the report that the leader of the rebels was found dead with a hole right in the middle of his forehead that was created by a water jet, and he knows that no one else but Noah could have done it. Noah affirms, saying that he used the hatred in the cursed dagger to lock in on the rebel leader and then did a no-scope headshot on him from hundreds of miles away. Once the rebels lose their leader, it is an easy-peasy task for Henry to suppress them. And soon, all the people behind it are arrested. A huge assembly is called to decide their punishment, and the Emperor orders the culprits to be drawn and quartered. And you can just look what that means on Google. Everyone is happy at the punishment given to the rebels, but then Noah steps forward and respectfully kneels before the Emperor, telling him that he should not do that. Everyone is taken aback on hearing that, especially the Emperor, who asks what he means. Noah says that everyone should be punished according to the law, and there is no mention of executing anyone by quartering them. The rebel leaders are to be split in half, and the rest of the people are sent to Gulag according to the law, and Noah insists that they should follow it. The Emperor asks how can he refuse the most brutal way to die for the people who rebelled in his territory. And Noah simply replies that if the Emperor breaks the law, it will have a negative effect on his reputation and the people. Everyone is left speechless on hearing this, but the Emperor decides to go along with what Noah wants. He says that they will follow the law, but then adds that he wants the criminals to receive the maximum punishment as the law allows without any mercy. Noah has no problem with that, and the Emperor orders the Prime Minister to make sure that the law is followed in punishing the rebels. The entire court starts praising Noah for standing up to the Emperor so boldly and correcting his mistake, and they begin glazing him as a future legend. Even the Emperor is proud that Noah stood up to him, and he decides to reward him for stopping him from breaking the law. He thinks for a while, and then decides to reward Noah with a title. The Emperor claims that while any of his kids can stand up to him, it is a different thing if they do it for the right reason. Noah did just that and showed how clever and brave he was to the entire court. That is why the Emperor awards him the title of the Wise Prince, and the change is immediately reflected in Noah's status window. The Emperor even goes as far as to say that if Noah had been born a decade ago, it would have been even better. But he doesn't clearly say that he would have been a contender to the throne. The court suddenly starts cheering for Noah on hearing that statement. And then the Emperor asks him about the preparations for the upcoming knight selection exam. Noah asks for permission to share his plans later, and the emperor affirms. After the court proceedings are over, they go to a fountain area, where Noah begins sipping tea while 4 servants surround him with water buckets in their hand. On Noah's signal, they try to splash him and get him wet. But Noah simply uses the shield in his ring to stop their attacks. The emperor doesn't understand what that means, so Noah tells him that he is going to ask all the participants to attack him like this and judge their skill on the basis of how close their attack gets to him. The emperor is impressed by this innovative way, but he thinks that there are risks involved in this method. Noah confidently declares that he will deal with anyone strong enough to break through his defenses, and the emperor is once again impressed by him. Later that night, the emperor goes to the throne room with the prime minister, who thinks that his remark that things would be different if Noah had been born earlier was unnecessary in front of the crowd. The emperor just laughs about it, saying that he meant it, because Noah is truly special. However, he is also a bit concerned because of the tremendous power of Leviathan. Despite the fact that its true power is still sealed, he orders his servant to bring out a special treasure, thinking that it is said that Leviathan's true seal must never be broken. But maybe Noah can control the full power of the legendary sword. A few days later, the night selection exam begins in its full glory, and participants from all over the country come to show their skill. The entire population of the capital is also there to witness the selection exam because it is like the Super Bowl for them. And many of them have bet their life savings on their favorite warriors. A participant, who looks like Gon's adult form if he was soaked in water overnight, steps ahead to prove his worth. As soon as he reaches the arena, he kneels before Noah, who is drinking tea without a care in the world. The warrior draws out his sword and swings it around to warm up his wrists and then attacks Noah. However, Noah immediately activates the shields in his ring, blocking the participant's attack. He keeps trying to change angles to land a blow on him, but the shield adjusts itself accordingly, and the man can't manage to do anything. After a couple of blows, his sword snaps in half and the referees call the test off. With that, another warrior fails to get past Noah's impenetrable defenses, and the crowd wonders if anyone can actually reach the wise prince, who might die from drinking excessive tea before anyone can reach him. The emperor is also watching the test from far away with his personal assistant, who tells him that the people are much more excited about this year's night selection exam as compared to other years. He says that this must be because a prince is personally taking risks to judge the warriors, but the emperor doesn't care about basic shit like that. He says that the only thing that matters is the selection of capable warriors, and he is excited to see what kind of people Noah will shortlist. Soon after that, it is the turn of a mage, and he unleashes a powerful fire blast towards Noah. The crowd goes silent on seeing his terrifying attack. But when the mage gets tired, Noah emerges unharmed because he used a magic barrier to protect himself. The participant falls on his knees as the crowd cheers on their prince. Noah feels a bit disappointed because it is evening now and he has drank more tea than a British household drinks in a year. But there was no noteworthy participant. Just then, the referee announces that it is turn for the last participant of the day, and a blonde baddie with red eyes climbs onto the arena. She looks anxious and out of breath. But the moment she draws her sword and takes her stance, something about her attitude changes. She dashes ahead to attack Noah, who summons his shield immediately, and for a change of pace, the girl's attack gets through his shield. She is not done yet, and she begins pushing hard until Noah's shield is shattered and her sword hits him in the chest. The crowd gasps loudly on seeing their prince injured, and the knights immediately detain the girl. They think that since she injured a prince, she will be severely punished. But Noah gets up and tells them to leave the girl, who introduces herself as Shirley Grants. Noah tells her that she passed, and everyone is stunned to hear this, especially Shirley, who can't believe that the prince is forgiving her even though she stabbed him. Later, Noah calls Shirley to his room and says that her armor looks really nice. She thanks him and says that it has been passed down her family for generations. She cannot control her curiosity and asks Noah what did he mean when he said that she passed the test, because he should be handing out punishment instead. Noah tells her that she is not guilty of injuring a noble because he was asking for it. He commands her to attack him again with the same move, and Shirley wonders if she injured some nerve that has made the prince dumb. However, he tells her that if she is a knight, she must obey her master's command, and she immediately gets up and takes her stance. She lunges towards Noah with the same attack she used earlier, and he summons his shield to block it. This time, Shirley's attack can't pierce his shield no matter how much force she uses, and Noah casually pushes her back as he retracts the shield. He tells her that if he wanted, he could use this shield during the test, and that would surely block her attack, and that means he could have avoided getting injured if he wanted. Noah tells Shirley that a knight's duty is to follow the orders of their lord, and he wanted to see if someone had the strength and guts to follow his only order, which was to attack him with full strength. He has no use for a knight who will hold back because of fear, and since Shirley obeyed the command to attack him even after she injured him once, he has figured out that she has got what it takes to be his knight. Shirley is totally moved by his determination and logic, and she immediately goes on one knee, swearing her undying loyalty to Noah for the rest of his life. He is glad to hear that, because even though this type of oath is not considered official, it still means a lot coming from a knight of character. Just then, Zoe comes there with the doctor, who begins to examine Noah's wound. He says that it is but a scratch and immediately heals it, which shocks Shirley. She remarks that they have no doctors in their village, so she has never seen anyone heal a cut with proper medical technique. Noah is curious and asks how people who can't afford a doctor get treatment, and Shirley replies that they ask the village elder to pray for them or exorcise their diseases. The bald doctor comments that it is quite common in the poor and uncultured folks, and Noah asks him if the quickest way to become a doctor is by starting as a real doctor's apprentice. The doctor affirms, and Noah immediately gives Shirley her first job. He asks her to bring the smartest and most hard-working people from her village, and then asks the doctor to take them as his apprentices. The doctor agrees without hesitation, but Shirley is astounded by Noah's gesture. She bows down to thank him, and Noah tells her to learn the proper etiquettes of knights because no knight bows down like that. The next morning, Shirley wakes up in the room assigned to her in Noah's mansion, and she gives us all a get ready with me session before heading to work with great excitement. She runs into Zoe on the way, who asks her if she slept well, and Shirley says that even though the room was quite nice, she couldn't sleep a lot. They start making small talk as they walk together, and soon, they come across some maids who are gossiping and giggling instead of working. Zoe asks them what are they up to, and the maids reply that they are enjoying their favorite pastime of guessing what kind of girl Noah will marry. Shirley is shocked to hear this and reminds them that Noah is only 6 years old right now. But the maids tell her that most princes have gotten married before the age of 15 in their empire. They believe that Noah is the most eligible bachelor in the empire right now, and there are a lot of cafes opened up near his mansion, because a lot of girls come to get a glimpse of him each day. The maids say that everyone loves Noah, including Zoe, who gets shy on hearing this. The maids start cornering her, saying that she has even started to learn magic recently to impress Noah. And she stutters as she replies that she just wants to be useful to her master. She walks away in a hurry with that, and as the maids call her adorable, Shirley can only stare at her. Later, she goes to Noah's office as he receives a report from a seasoned knight about the exam. The captain remarks that all the new knights Noah chose are quite excellent, and their squad captains are really grateful. Noah signs off on the documents and tells the knight that it would not have been possible without help from dedicated men like him. Noah then asks Shirley to see off the knight, and she kneels before him as he is about to leave. The knight is taken aback by that and tells her that this formality is unnecessary because they are both at the same rank. He suddenly realizes that Noah sent the girl with him to learn more about knightly etiquettes, and he advises her to stick with the prince because she won't find a better master. Soon after that, Noah throws a party where Ali performs and mesmerizes everyone with her songs. Alan and Cindy kneel before him and thank him for inviting them, and Noah replies that he threw this party especially to thank them for their help in making the knight selection exam a success. He tells them that everyone in the party is a merchant with strong ties to him, and Alan decides to make some valuable connections with them. Just then, Zoe comes there with a letter addressed to Noah, and she feels a little uneasy about giving it to him because the sender's name is not on it. Noah leaves the party with Shirley and Zoe to open the letter. Zoe says that the person who delivered the letter dropped it and ran away as soon as he saw the guards, and that makes everyone suspicious. Shirley tells him that it can be dangerous, so she should be the one to open it. But Noah checks with Leviathan and finds that the letter is safe. It contains top secret information that the remaining rebels are plotting something up, and Noah realizes who dug out this information for him. He is sure that the knight who risked his life earlier to warn him about the rebellion must still be on his mission, and Zoe and Shirley are impressed by his loyalty and dedication. Noah, however, thinks that the knight is more stupid than he is brave, because being a spy is not easy without proper training. He immediately contacts Henry to see to the matter and stop the knight. But when he gets a reply from his elder brother, Noah feels burdened with guilt because his worst fears came true. The wannabe spy was caught by the rebels and tortured, but he refused to talk. Luckily, Henry's men got him out of danger before he lost his life, but he is still in a critical condition. Noah thinks that all of this is his fault because if he had a strong intelligence network, the knight would not have to risk his life. He immediately sends Zoe to arrange for the best medical care for the knight because he can't let such a loyal man die. The next day, Noah goes to the market and takes Shirley along as his guard. She keeps getting distracted by the shops because things like that don't exist in her tiny village. Noah reminds her to be alert all the time because she is on duty, and Shirley tries her best to ignore any distractions. She asks Noah if he is here to buy something, and he replies that he wants to buy a gift for Henry since he helped him to rescue the knight. Noah goes to a fancy gift store and asks the merchant there for an item that is fit for a prince. The merchant immediately brings out some rare jewelry and other valuable items that make Shirley's jaw drop, but Noah is not really interested in all that. He notices an item covered in a cloth and asks the shopkeeper to show it to him. The merchant immediately removes the cloth to reveal a beautiful glass statue of the goddess. Noah is enchanted by the beauty of the statue and asks the merchant if it is even possible to make such an intricate design with glass. The merchant replies that this statue is the work of a legendary craftsman who died a long time ago. The art of making such detailed glass sculptures vanished with the man, and right now, there are only 2 such statues in the world. Noah instantly buys the statue for Henry and gives the merchant $10,000 plus some bonus for bringing such an amazing item to him. Just then, the 8th Prince Oscar also arrives there, and he is quite surprised to see Noah there. He says that he is here to find something interesting when suddenly, his eyes fall on the glass statue. He immediately recognizes the statue and its creator, saying that he never expected the merchant to find the second one. Noah asks him if he knows where is the first statue, and Oscar replies that he has it. As soon as Noah hears this, he grabs the statue and smashes it on the ground, leaving everyone aghast. Noah tells the merchant to chill because he will still get his payment and some extra money to cover the cleaning costs. He says that there is a huge difference between having 2 copies of an artwork and being the single piece there is, and that is what he is aiming for. He tells the merchant to spread news that the second goddess statue he found was broken, and now there is only one left in the world. This will increase the value of Oscar's statue tremendously, and the 8th Prince is stunned at Noah's brilliance. Soon after that, Noah heads home and Shirley remarks that ever since she started serving him, she is getting surprise after surprise. She claims that she can't understand why Noah smashed that priceless statue, and he replies that it was just an object and objects can never be true treasure. Noah says that the real treasure is the friends we make along the way, and also the people who are willing to risk their lives for him. That is especially true in his case because his stats increase based on his relation with the people around him. And doing Oscar a huge favor gave him a significant bump. Shirley is amazed by his ideology, and then Noah tells her that she is also a part of his treasure. Noah's life as a genius prince continues after this, and 6 years pass by in a flash, and the 12-year-old prince is ready for new challenges and opportunities. Noah sits alone on the breakfast table as Zoe serves him, but his attention is on the new maid named Jiggy who is busy staring outside the window. Noah asks her if something is bothering her, and she replies that the queue of people bringing his birthday gifts is still in full bloom even after 3 days. Noah understands why this has left his new maid so perplexed, and Zoe tells her that last year, the gifts kept coming for an entire week. Jiggy freaks out on hearing that, and Noah explains that he can't just simply receive the gifts and be done with it. He has to carefully make a list of every gift and their sender, which is not an easy job. That's why he has one of his most trusted maids, Evelyn, on the job, and he can take it easy because of her. After finishing his breakfast, Noah heads to the headquarters of the Ministry of Military Affairs as the Emperor personally assigned him to work there. He reaches the room of the Minister of Military Affairs, which is none other than the 4th Prince Henry. Henry and a knight welcome Noah before getting to business. Henry says that they have received an imperial order to send an army under the command of Knight Captain Reyes to suppress a rebellion in the southern parts of their empire. The barbarians rebelling against them are overconfident and ruthless, and that is why they plan to crush them with their full force. But Henry wants Noah's opinion about that before taking any action. His plan makes sense to Noah, who looks at Reyes, who is a direct subordinate of Henry and a knight who has proved his skill numerous times in the battlefield. Noah believes that they can trust Reyes with the job, but before that, he asks him just one question about how many soldiers he is really taking along with him. The knight starts sweating and hesitates to give an answer, which gets Henry worked up, and he demands an explanation immediately. Reyes falls to the ground and begs for an apology, but Noah calms Henry down, saying that it is nothing serious. He reminds Henry that the generals in war receive funding from the imperial court depending on the number of soldiers they take along, but some generals include merchants and other helpers when making the list to get more funding that they can pocket themselves. Rhys again apologizes to Henry, who is furious at his greedy tactic, but Noah asks both the men to chill for a bit. He tells Rhys that it is fully within his rights if he wants to hire more people to help his army, and he can take a little cut for himself from the funding. Henry also realizes that if they register non-soldiers, they can boast about having a larger army than they actually have, which will scare off their enemies. He praises Noah for figuring out his underlings' embezzlement as well as how it can have a positive impact on the war. However, Noah tells him that they cannot use this method to fool their enemy this time because the Emperor commanded them to have a flawless victory, and they can't take any chances. He asks Rhys how many non-soldiers did he register for war, and the scared knight replies that he added around 2,000 non-soldiers. Noah commands him to quickly get an equal number of real soldiers, and Rhys has no option but to accept his order. After that, Noah writes a note for the Ministry of Finance and tells Rhys to give it to them. The note will get him funding equal to 2,000 soldiers for miscellaneous purposes, and Rhys can keep all that money for himself. The knight captain doesn't understand why he is getting money for being corrupt, but Noah coldly tells him that in exchange for this extra cash, he should deliver a perfect victory. Henry is impressed by how Noah uses every possible method to motivate his underlings, and as they are heading back home, he asks his little brother if he has not yet experienced war. Noah affirms and looks at his stats that are still at level 1 because he has never fought a real battle. In the Empire, most royal kids die young, and even though the official reasons are always a disease of some sort, they are mostly assassinated by other royals who want more power. That is why all royal children are considered very valuable, and they never head to war until they are adults, except if the Emperor directly orders them. Henry tells Noah that he is 12 already and he should get some experience of real combat. Noah replies that he will rush to the battlefield as soon as the Emperor commands, and Henry tells him that he won't have much difficulty since he wields a legendary magic sword. Just then, Henry's carriage comes to an abrupt stall as a girl runs in front of it. She begs someone to save her, and soon a bunch of kids come out of the dark alleys as well. Behind them are some thugs who want to capture them and ship them to Epstein Island. They grab the girls and try to take them with them when Noah steps out and orders them to stop. The thugs don't realize who they are talking to, and they tell Noah to go back and drink his mommy's milk. Noah is not taunted by their weak-ass insults and asks them for their registration number because unregistered slave trading is illegal in the Empire. The thugs turn to violence on being questioned, but Noah quickly summons Leviathan and slashes them, knocking them out without actually killing them. Everyone is impressed by his skill, even though they don't really recognize him. Noah walks to the kids to comfort them, when suddenly, a frail old man walks out of the shadows and greets him. He openly declares that he is the mastermind behind the slave trading and warns Noah that he should not mess with him because he has the backing of the first Prince Gilbert. Noah realizes that the old bastard must be one of Epstein's partners to be so cunning and bold, and he wonders how should he handle the situation now. The old man tells him to leave the girls behind and pretend that he saw nothing, but Noah can't compromise on that. He asks Henry if he knows this guy, and he denies ever seeing his vomit-inducing face. Noah says that he doesn't know who he is either, and just as the old man tries explaining himself, he uses Leviathan's cursed energy to knock him out. Noah then loudly declares that even nameless scoundrels are claiming to work for the first prince nowadays. He says that common people might be fooled by him, but he and his brother won't be tricked. The public believes what Noah says after one guy identifies him as the wise prince. Noah then commands the soldiers to drag these men to the first prince's residence and tell him they were using his name falsely. Meanwhile, he decides to take the kids to his home to comfort them, like MJ probably did back in the day. Henry is impressed by Noah's quick thinking, and he explains that if the men really worked for Gilbert, he couldn't kill them, but he couldn't let the people see a prince watch illegal slave trading and do nothing. That is why he made them out as fakes and delivered them to Gilbert, who will probably dispose of them as liabilities. Later, as Noah and Henry are having dinner, the butler comes to deliver important news. Henry asks him what happened, and Noah replies that a messenger from First Prince Gilbert came to deliver a message about the thugs they caught. Gilbert thanked them for catching the fakes using his name and said that he was preparing to send them to court for proper punishment, but they drank poison and ended their life. Noah knows that is bullshit, and Gilbert silenced those guys himself. He asks Henry if Gilbert really runs an underground slave company, and he affirms, saying that Gilbert lives a life of luxury and wastes money senselessly. so he must have some illegal businesses going on. Noah can't blame his eldest brother for wasting money because despite being the first prince, he is the son of a concubine and can never become the next emperor. Noah thinks that the slave trade and private estates he owns are just a cover-up for something far more sinister, and Henry is taken aback at how quickly his 12-year-old brother figured that out. The next day, Noah tells the kids he rescued that he pulled some strings and now they are free to go home. However, the kids don't have a home to go back to because it was their families who sold them off in the first place. Noah realizes that if they go back, their families will sell them off again, so he decides to take them in. He orders the butler to arrange rooms and jobs for them, and if anyone wants to study, he should take care of that too. The leader of the girls is taken aback on hearing this and asks Noah if he is going to buy them. He replies that he is not buying them and they are free to leave him whenever they want, but if they are going to stay with them, he will not tolerate any betrayal. The butler tells them to thank Noah and then takes them along. As he watches them go, Noah remembers his philosophy that people are treasures, and that reminds him of something he had been meaning to do for a long time. He summons Evelyn to his office, and she starts reporting that all his birthday presents have been collected. Noah replies that he already knows that, and then slides an envelope towards her. Evelyn is curious about that, and Noah tells her that she is being dismissed from his service so that she can become a government officer in charge of a region in his territory. Evelyn doesn't know how to respond on being promoted to a mayor from a maid, and Noah says that she is the most clever of his maids and just serving him is a waste of her talent. Evelyn is ready to refuse the promotion just to serve Noah, but he tells her that if she proves to be a good administrator, people will praise him for having a good eye for talent. He orders her to leave the mansion and work for him, and that is all she needed to hear. Soon after that, Noah is summoned by the emperor, who heard about how he defended Gilbert's honor. Noah replies that all of that was just a coincidence because his only goal was to rescue the kids and capture the criminals. He realizes that Gilbert reported the matter to the emperor himself to avoid any backlash and also to appear innocent in front of everyone. The emperor then says that it is unfortunate that they still have such filthy criminals running free in this world. He asks Noah about the punishment for them, and he says that according to the law, the ringleader has to have his right arm severed and everyone else has to be sent to serve the army in Afghanistan. The emperor says that Noah confronted the criminals openly and arrested them. But if it was him, he would have gone undercover and got beaten by the criminals to catch them red-handed. The prime minister jokes that it would be a crime against the imperial family and the criminals would be executed, and while everyone laughs, Noah decides to fact-check them. He says that if the emperor is undercover and the criminal doesn't know who he is hitting, it will be a simple assault and not a crime against the imperial family. The court goes silent on hearing this, and Noah feels that he went too far by correcting the prime minister in a hypothetical situation. However, before he can apologize, the emperor laughs and tells the prime minister that he won the bet. Noah is confused now, so the emperor tells him that he placed a bet with the prime minister to see if Noah could correct his mistakes when it came to understanding the law. Noah wonders what is even the point of testing him, and his answer comes instantly as the emperor appoints him as the new minister of justice. The court is fired up on hearing this, and they cheer up on Noah, saying that he is only the second prince after Henry to be made a minister. Noah is clueless about how to react, but the emperor and the prime minister smile and give each other a satisfied look, which only confuses him more. Later that night, he goes to enjoy Ali's singing, but his mind is still occupied by what happened in the court. He thinks that there is some deeper reason behind the emperor appointing him as the minister of justice. However, he decides that nothing will come out of overthinking right now and decides to enjoy the show instead. At the same time, the emperor receives a worrying report from the prime minister, and he decides to let him handle that because he has to handle an even more important matter that he cannot delay any longer. The next day, Noah heads to the Ministry of Justice, which is going to be his new office. Shirley opens the carriage door, and Noah walks in front of the employees of the Ministry of Justice who are eagerly awaiting him. Once he reaches his office, the Vice Minister Viney greets him, and Noah thinks that he must be quite talented and hardworking if he reached this position at such a young age. Noah asks him about the job profile of the Minister of Justice, and Viney tells him that he has two main duties. The first duty is to coordinate all the courthouses across the Mir's empire, and the second duty is to directly handle serious crimes like the rebellion that occurred in his territory 6 years ago. Noah asks Viney if he also acts as a judge in some cases, and he affirms. Noah's next question catches him off guard as he asks the vice minister how much money does he receive in bribes annually. Viney starts sweating as he denies ever taking a bribe, but Noah tells him that he is chill with it. and he just wants to know how much money he makes. He promises that he will forget all about it once they leave the room, and Viney decides to trust him. He declares that he is not as corrupt as the rest of the officials here, so he barely accepts more than $1,000 in bribes annually. Meanwhile, the people working under him take 10 times more bribes than him. But he can't keep up with them because of a rule he has imposed on himself. He tells Noah that he does not accept bribes in murder cases because they are too easy to expose, and if the accuser is also a violent person, he might become a victim himself. To close his statement, Viney declares that he takes a bribe only in those cases that can go in either direction. On hearing this, Noah immediately writes him a new pay slip, giving him an annual salary of $5,000, which is 10 times as much as he earns from bribes in a year. Viney is shocked to see this, and Noah tells him that in return for this, he will not accept any bribes while he works here. Viney realizes now why the emperor made a 12-year-old kid the minister of justice. He turns down the pay raise, telling Noah that he will stop accepting bribes even without this incentive. He pledges to work loyally for Noah's cause from now on, and even though Noah is a bit suspicious of his ulterior motives, he gets a pretty good stat bump from making him an underling, so he accepts him as his loyal subordinate. Later that night, Oscar throws a fancy party in his garden to congratulate Noah on becoming a minister. Noah thanks him for the party, and Oscar replies that he is really happy that Noah became the second prince minister after Henry in the 50-year-long reign of their father. Noah asks if there is any reason why their father made him the minister of justice, and Oscar casually replies that the emperor favors him a lot. Noah can't disagree with that, because Henry had achieved various feats in the battlefield to be made the minister of military. On the other hand, he hasn't done anything yet that makes him feel that he deserves being the minister of justice. However, there is something else that is worrying him. He asks Oscar if he remembers the story about how their empire was once on the verge of being destroyed by internal forces. Oscar remembers the story, and the reason behind it was that the crown prince used to be decided at birth, and the rest of princes didn't even bother to try. They started living their lives in pleasure and wasted the empire's finances while creating issues, so the emperor changed the system. He made sure to give all the princes a territory to govern as well as quality education, so that they become capable rulers. Oscar asks Noah why is he bringing that up now, and he replies that maybe the emperor has other intentions behind making him a minister. Oscar is shocked on realizing that Noah suspects that their father plans to make him the crown prince somehow. He abruptly stands up on his place, causing the celebrations to pause, and just then, his butler comes there to deliver a message. That message sobers Oscar, and he tells Noah that his theory was right. He has just learned that the emperor is going to make him the minister of finance tomorrow, and he is probably doing all this to put pressure on Albert to step up his game. In another part of the city, a squad of royal guards storm a building and arrest a minister and his accomplices who were hatching a plot against the emperor. The prime minister briefs the emperor about this, saying that the minister admitted that he was trying to force the king to resign so that Crown Prince Albert could take the throne. The emperor understands that Albert has been the crown prince for 30 long years, and he must feel that it is about damn time that he got his ass on the royal seat. However, there is no evidence that he was involved in this conspiracy, and the emperor can't do anything to him. He then asks the prime minister about the matter with Oscar and learns that Oscar already had an idea about what was going to happen. The emperor is taken aback to hear this, but as soon as he hears that Noah was with him, he immediately gives the credit for decoding his plan to the youngest prince. He says that his eldest sons, Gilbert and Albert, are not capable enough of leading this country, and his hope lies on Henry, Oscar, and Noah. He will be happy with any of them taking the throne, as long as they overcome his trials. The next day, Noah receives a report about the conspiracy against the emperor, and he is supposed to act as the judge for the matter. Viney asks him what should they do, and Noah knows the reason for his hesitation is the fact that everything points to Albert in the conspiracy, but they don't have real evidence against him. Noah knows that there are provisions for the members of the imperial family to receive light sentences, but in the case they try to overthrow the emperor, they will be executed by slicing them in half. However, executing the crown prince for rebelling against the emperor would shake the entire empire, and Noah knows that his father would not want that. He can tell that the emperor doesn't want Albert's name to appear in the case, but if further interrogation is done, someone might snitch and reveal it. With all that in mind, Noah arrives on a judgment and heads straight to the emperor's office to tell him the verdict. He says that everyone involved in the conspiracy will be immediately executed, and the emperor is happy with that decision. Noah knows that usually, the criminals would be executed on the annual execution day, but he can use his power as the Minister of Justice to hurry that process so that Albert's name doesn't come up. The emperor is happy to hear that, and he immediately orders his servant to add $1,000 to Noah's annual salary. He personally pats his back and tells him to keep doing an exceptional job like this, making Noah even more sure that all of this was about Albert. With that, Noah returns to the Ministry of Justice, where Shirley comes running to him to alert him of an emergency. Noah finds the knights guarding the ministry terribly injured, with one of them dead. The other knight tells him that the intruders are still inside. Noah tells Shirley to contact Henry for backup. But then he realizes that the timing of this attack is sus. He changes his plan and tells Shirley to gather their allies and barricade the ministry, not letting anyone except him go in or out. He draws Leviathan and heads inside the building to find more dead soldiers and terrified officials. Noah tells everyone to lay low and soon finds one of the intruders stabbing an official. He charges ahead at the intruder and quickly takes him down. The attacker tries using poison to take his own life, but Noah uses his ring shields to stop him from ingesting it. Just then, 3 more intruders arrive there, and they charge at Noah, who makes quick work of them with his genius sword skills. He blocks them from drinking the poison as well, and soon after that, Viney comes running. He is amazed on seeing that Noah defeated everyone by himself, but Noah wants to know the casualties. Viney tells him that apart from their guards, all the rebels they caught the other day are dead. And Noah immediately realizes that these men are assassins sent by Albert to tie up his loose ends. He immediately cuts himself with Leviathan, shocking Viney. However, Noah tells him that the assassins did this, and asks him what is the punishment for severely injuring a prince. Viney says that the attackers are executed immediately, and Noah tells him to go ahead with that. He then receives treatment while Viney returns to inform him that the execution is complete. Noah is glad that he stopped the assassins from being arrested and spitting up Albert's name and curses the stupid crown prince for being so careless. The next day, he is summoned by the emperor, who asks how is he feeling. Noah replies that he is feeling better now, and then the emperor asks him if the assassins were really skilled enough to wound someone like him. Noah knew that the emperor would ask this question because his intelligence network would have told him everything. Noah sprouts up some diplomatic bullshit about mindset being more important than skill set that only the king can understand because they are vibing on the same frequency. He claims that he is really proud of Noah and wishes that all his sons were like him. Noah is glad to hear that, and after that, the emperor invites him on a walk. He talks about how 9 of 10 emperors who were called great rulers had an embarrassing end. Noah realizes that he is counting himself among the great rulers, which is obviously true, and if Albert's conspiracy had succeeded, he would have been humiliated as a senile old man who couldn't even control his sons. He also understands that the emperor is not punishing Albert, because even that will tarnish his reputation as the emperor who abandoned his crown prince. He suddenly comes up with an idea and asks the emperor for a favor. He says that he has appointed Henry, Oscar, and him as ministers, which is a very new thing in the empire's long history. Noah says that some people might find faults with this system, so he should appoint someone to supervise them and make sure they are doing their work well. The emperor thinks that he can ask his trusted prime minister to handle that, but Noah has other plans. He suggests that the emperor can appoint Albert as the prime minister prince because he is above all 3 of them in hierarchy, and he can supervise and coordinate them. The emperor gets angry at this suggestion and immediately tells Noah to go back to his home and recover until his wounds are fully healed. He begins walking away, but then Noah reminds him that anyone with 4 brain cells can understand that Albert has grown impatient after being stuck as the crown prince for 30 years. He needs just a bit more to be satisfied, and Noah wants the emperor to appoint Albert as his proxy, while having the final say on the matters himself. The emperor thinks that it will give Albert more power than any minister out there, which would not be a good thing, and he can block important matters from reaching his attention. Noah has a solution for that too. He says that if all 3 minister princes feel that Albert made a mistake by rejecting an important matter, they can directly appeal to the emperor himself. That way, Albert won't hold any real power, but he will still have a title that would make him sound important. The emperor is truly impressed by this genius idea, and he thanks Noah for bringing it up. He agrees to implement this system soon, and then ruffles Noah's hair, saying that it is a shame he wasn't born earlier. Noah also understands that his father is a wise man who can quickly understand what is best for his people, and the longer his reign continues, the happier the citizens would be. The emperor then declares that Noah deserves a reward for his idea, and no amount of money is enough. He tells his assistant that they are heading to the treasure room, which is full of priceless items from the history of their empire. The emperor recalls how Noah once picked the shield ring from the treasury, and he asks him to pick one item this time as well. Noah immediately uses Leviathan as a radar to find something valuable, and finds a small box. The Emperor is surprised to see him pick that, and as soon as Noah opens the box, a blazing fire tornado engulfs him. The fire takes the form of a powerful monster, and Noah feels that it is just like when he had to fight a monster to take full control of Leviathan. He immediately summons Leviathan and realizes that this treasure is another sentient weapon that he needs to defeat to become its master. The monster suddenly breathes fire towards him, but Leviathan has type advantage against it, and Noah uses it to cut off the flame. He then shoots a sharp stream of cursed water directly at the monster's eye, defeating it and turning it into a glowing red marble that falls right into his hand. As soon as Noah grabs that, the fire tornado vanishes and the red orb turns into a ring with a fire emblem on top of it. Noah checks his stats and finds that his fire attribute has suddenly jumped up to C rank on obtaining the ring, which makes him realize that the ring is quite powerful. The Emperor approaches him, asking if he is alright. Noah affirms, and the Emperor is pleasantly surprised that he managed to tame the sentient weapon called luthier. Noah puts the ring on, and it burns brightly for a few seconds as the Emperor praises him, saying that he chose a very valuable item without any hesitation. Noah replies that it seems to be really powerful, and the Emperor says that he will prepare a target for him to test it. Noah replies that he already has a better idea, and he takes the Emperor out in the open, and suddenly attacks himself with luthier's flames. The Emperor is scared on seeing this, but Noah says, "Daddy, chill," because he is canceling the flames with Leviathan's power. He uses that to confirm his theory that Leviathan is slightly stronger than luthier. But the fire ring is no joke either. It burns the ground around Noah effortlessly, but the heat and damage doesn't go beyond that because Noah is using Leviathan at the same time to control it. The Emperor is amazed on seeing this, and he entrusts the ring to Noah, asking him to use it for the betterment of their empire. A few days later, the Emperor summons Noah because he needs his advice with a complicated matter relating to the royal family. The Emperor tells Noah that his younger brother Graham has a son, who is a tyrant and rules over his territory with cruel laws. Recently, he killed someone during an argument while he was drunk, and that is a serious crime. The Emperor says that it would be punished seriously if it was a normal person. But since Graham belongs to the royal family, he declared that his son's crime was because of his poor upbringing and took responsibility for it. The Emperor says that Graham has offered to pay a fine to protect his son from being punished, but Noah doesn't think that he can do it. He recalls Ollie's case and says that just like a child can't be held responsible for their parents' debt, a parent is not legally responsible for their child's crimes. The Emperor replies that he also said the same thing, but his brother is insistent. Noah reads the report and finds that Graham is ready to pay $30,000, which is 250 times what a normal family living in the capital earns in a year. The Emperor asks Noah what can they do, and he clearly refuses to accept the fine from someone who has not committed the crime, even if they volunteered to give it. Suddenly, the Emperor asks if they can bring a law to collect voluntary fines in exchange of softer punishments, and Noah realizes what his father is trying to do. The Emperor comes clean and says that the royal treasury is not in good condition because of constant disaster relief campaigns and suppressing rebels. Noah understands the situation, but he disagrees with the Emperor's idea and says that if they pass such a law, they would be telling the people that nothing is a crime as long as you can afford to pay fines. He claims that this would make the justice system of their empire a joke, and since only the rich people would be able to pay the fines, corruption among the top levels of the government would skyrocket. Noah tells his father that they need to solve the shortage of funds through better and more moral methods, and the Emperor realizes his mistake. He suddenly puts his stamp on a document and gives it to Noah, announcing that for his exceptional wisdom, he is hereby appointed as an advisor to the Emperor. Noah keeps staring at the paper while the Emperor tells him that it is just an honorary position and he gets no extra benefits from it. That gives him an idea to solve their financial problems, and he suggests to the Emperor that instead of letting people pay fines to evade punishment, they can make them pay a fee to gain honor. He gives an example that they can give honorary knighthood to people who donate $1,000 to the Empire because it would give them honor without giving them real authority without talent. Noah says that it would take some complicated groundwork, but everyone would love to be honored directly by the Emperor, and they would pay good money for that. The Emperor thinks for a while and realizes that Noah's idea is brilliant because those who have all the money in the world crave more fame. He orders his assistant to summon Oscar, and Noah immediately takes his leave on realizing that if he stays in the discussion any longer, he would be invading his brother's field. On his way out, he finds the servants gathered around the hole he created using luthier. A senior servant comes there and tells him that everyone is so curious about the hole, and one guy even fell inside while trying to find how deep it was. Noah hands a bag of cash for the poor guy's treatment and then asks the servant about the item he is carrying. He reveals it to be a pair of rhinoceros beetles for the 16th prince, who is only 3 years old and loves making beetles fight. That gives Noah another idea, and as he is heading home, he summons Leviathan and Luthier's mini-forms to fight each other. They immediately start throwing hands, and Noah can tell that they have all the skills of their past users. He watches them intently to learn more from them, and then finds that Leviathan is clearly the stronger one as he slashes Luthier in two. The new maid watches the fight in excitement, and Noah decides to hold another match between the two sentient weapons. He finds that Luthier is really competitive and wants to win the rematch, but he still loses. To his surprise, the mock battle has real consequences, and he levels up after Leviathan slays Luthier. He continues making them fight whenever he gets time and finds that Luthier is improving quickly. He eventually manages to beat Leviathan, and because of his growth, Noah's flame attribute also ranks up. Apart from that, Zoe has also become more skilled in magic to help Noah, and now she can cast a spell to see his stats. She is surprised to see that he leveled up without actually fighting anyone and says that he can level up till infinity just by making his summoned dolls fight. No tells her that it is not going to happen that way because it only took one fight to reach level 2, but it took 10 more to reach level 3. He says that he needs more magic items like this to learn how they work when suddenly Henry arrives there. He has already seen everything, and he commends Noah for his innovative method of making his weapons fight. He then hands him a box and says that the monster's nest is ready to be cleared. Noah remembers that the monster's nest is a hunting ground managed by the military where all princes go on their first campaign. Henry tells him that once he opens the magic box, he will learn how many soldiers he needs to go with him based on his strength. As soon as Noah opens the box, it turns into a piece of paper with the number 1 written on it. Noah asks if that means he will have to go alone, and Henry is shocked because nothing like this has happened in the history of their empire. Later that night, Zoe tells Noah that a messenger from the Emperor has arrived to deliver a personal message, and it turns out to be the knight named Rias. Noah kneels before him since anyone who delivers a personal message from the Emperor carries his authority temporarily. Rias tells Noah that his campaign to the monster's nest has been postponed, and once the message is finished, he kneels before him to greet him. Noah knows that Rias is a direct subordinate of Henry, and he is a high-level servant who is considered a part of the family. He asks him why was the campaign postponed, and Rias replies that the Emperor was so happy to learn about Noah's strength that he decided to hold his first campaign on an even greater scale. Noah decides to use the time he has till then to learn more about sentient magic items. He goes to his favorite gift shop to ask if he has any magic items with a will of their own. The merchant replies that he doesn't have anything like that, so Noah gives him a fat pouch of money to look for items that fit the bill. He leaves the store with that, but Shirley is curious about why Noah paid the merchant that much even when he didn't have any useful information, especially considering that the empire needs better financial decisions. Noah replies that this is how royals roll when suddenly he hears a man intimidating a merchant because he refuses to sell him an item that was booked by another customer. The man is fully confident and tells the bystanders to go back to their business because they don't want to mess with him. Noah steps up to him and tells him to stop, and the man immediately changes his attitude when he sees him. However, he is still arrogant and confident as he introduces himself as Dalem, a member of First Prince Gilbert's household. He says that he works at the Ministry of Imperial Household and he once saw Noah there. Noah doesn't care who he is or where he works and tells Dalem that what he did just now was illegal. Dalem mocks him, saying that he is the Minister of Justice, but he still doesn't know that people working at the Ministry of Imperial Household can't be found guilty of any crime except treason against the Empire and the country. No one knows that Dalem is right, and he looks experienced enough to back his confidence. Normally, he would not have been able to do anything, but he has a trick up his sleeve too. He reminds Dalem that since he is a member of his brother's household, he is supposed to kneel down when he greets him, just like Rias kneeled before him last night. Dalem panics on realizing that Noah caught him on a technicality. He tries to kneel, but Noah immediately orders Shirley to arrest him, and she pins him to the ground in a split second. Dalem tries to threaten him that he shouldn't mess with the First Prince's household, but Noah coldly tells him to shut up because he has insulted him as well as Prince Gilbert. He declares publicly that Dalem, a member of Prince Gilbert's household, has insulted him, and he will be punished for that. He asks if anyone has a whip, and the merchants are very willing to help him. Dalem is tied at stake, but he still keeps ordering people to help him, or they will suffer a horrible fate. Everyone is terrified of him, and in the meantime, Shirley asks about the punishment. Noah says that the punishment for using the authority of the imperial family to commit acts of tyranny is to be punished with death, and Dalem realizes that he is screwed. Shirley understands the assignment and whips the poor bastard to death, while the merchants cheer on her because they were fed up with Dalem. Noah sits on a bench nearby waiting for everything to be over, and soon, Shirley comes there to report that Dalem is dead. Noah tells her to report everything to the guards and mention the crimes he accused Dalem of. After that, he asks her to bring a pair of handcuffs that he wears to the mansion of First Prince Gilbert. The guards are shocked to see a prince in cuffs, but Noah says that he needs to apologize to his brother about his actions. Just then, Gilbert's butler comes there to escort Noah inside. Once he meets Gilbert and tells him everything that happened, the first prince tells Noah that he had no other choice in the matter. Noah replies that he should have consulted with him first, but Gilbert replies that he is chill with that. He claims that he doesn't remember anyone named Dalem serving him, and his butler replies that he was sent to the Ministry of Imperial Household a few years ago. Gilbert says that he remembers now that he fired Dalem for being a terrible person, and he is no longer a part of his household. He orders his butler to free Noah from the cuffs, and then thanks him for saving his reputation by taking care of Dalem, who was using his name for personal gain. With that, Noah heads back home, and Shirley asks what was the point of going to Gilbert in handcuffs when he was nonchalant about the matter. Noah replies that Gilbert might look chill, but he was furious inside. However, he could not afford to create a scene because he knows that the Emperor favors the 13th prince more. Noah says that Gilbert surely sees him as an enemy for disturbing his illegal slave trading business and eliminating Dalem. But he has to keep up the act of being a good older brother who accepted his younger brother's sincere apology quickly. Shirley is impressed by his quick thinking, but Noah is sure that Gilbert will not sit quiet for long. The next day, Noah's butler Dylan informs him that a visitor from the Ministry of Imperial Household is here to see him. The visitor introduces himself as Orts and claims that he was so impressed by the way Noah handled Dalem that he wants to work under him. He is ready to do anything that Noah says for a chance, and Noah decides to take him in. However, he is quite suspicious, and as soon as Orts leaves, Noah orders Dylan to find out everything about him. The next day, as Noah's maids are getting him ready, Dylan comes there to report his findings about the guy named Orts who was dying to become Noah's underling the other day. Dylan says that Orts has made clever efforts to hide his background, but the truth is that he and his parents are old servants of the first prince. The butler says how nobles handle the matters of their household very strictly, and that is why the interaction of their close servants to the outside world is limited. Sometimes, nobles may recommend their servants to marry each other, and the children born from such marriages are automatically inducted into the noble's household. Dylan tells Noah that it is obvious that Orts is here as a spy for Prince Gilbert, and he affirms. He orders the butler to not reveal this information to anyone because now that they know Orts is a spy, they can use him for their purpose. Dylan agrees, and then praises Noah's observation and intuition for figuring out Orts' true intentions on the first meeting. The truth is that it was not Noah's instinct that made him suspicious of Orts. When he accepted Orts as his underling, his stats didn't increase even slightly, and that made it obvious that he wasn't loyal to him. Suddenly, Dylan informs Noah of another matter, telling him that the owner of his favorite gift store is here because he found the thing Noah was looking for. Noah is glad that the 10 grand that he paid to the merchant paid off, and he immediately summons him. The merchant humbly greets Noah, who tells him to end the pleasantries and bring the item. The merchant signals his men to bring a big painting into the room, and he removes the cloth over it to reveal the portrait of a beautiful girl. Noah goes near the painting to inspect it closely, and the merchant tells him that the painting is named Huwawa, and it was made by a famous artist. He says that it is not an ordinary painting, and by the way Leviathan reacts to it, Noah can affirm that it is cursed. The merchant is pleased by his observation, and he orders his men to bring out a second painting that is almost identical to the original piece. The merchant reveals that this is a replica that was painted at the same time around the original Huwawa, but there is one big difference between them. Noah sees that the girl in the original painting looks a bit older than the one in the replica, and he realizes that the girl inside the painting is growing and aging with time. He is interested in learning more about it, so he draws Leviathan and uses its power to slash through the painting, leaving the merchant dumbfounded. However, instead of being damaged, the painting starts to glow with a green hue, and the girl trapped inside it opens her eyes. She steps out of the painting slowly, and the merchant's jaw gets unhinged because of the shock. The girl starts levitating in front of the painting and looks at Noah with a soft longing. The merchant stands there bamboozled, but apparently, Noah can communicate with the girl through telepathy. She tells him that the painting was made with her blood. The painter killed her and mixed her blood into the paint to make this cursed piece of art, and because of that, her soul was trapped inside it. The girl says that she wants to repay Noah for freeing her, and he immediately asks her to swear loyalty to him. The ghost girl has no objection to that, and she swears to stay forever loyal to him. She then starts acting like a dolphin and dives in and out of the painting. The merchant is still trying to process how a cursed painting turned into this, but Noah realizes that he cut the girl's chains with Leviathan, allowing her to move out of the painting freely. She is just trying to show off her newfound freedom, but Noah is not interested in that. Instead, he is more happy that he got a small bonus stat on his Earth attribute, and he decides to invest more in the ghost girl for the future. The ghost girl Hua can only communicate through telepathy and tells Noah that she can be useful to him. He asks her to show a demo, and she immediately takes the form of the merchant, flabbergasting him, as he keeps acting like an ape seeing a mirror for the first time. Hua tells Noah that she can do more. He touches her hand, and she absorbs the energy of Luthier to glow faintly. Noah then asks the merchant to touch Hua's hand, and while he can touch her with his left hand, his right hand passes right through her body. Noah is pleased to see that Hua can control her body so precisely. He thanks the merchant for discovering her and says that he will buy the painting from him at any price he names, and instructs him to find more such cursed items. Soon after that, the merchant Alan pays Noah a visit with a stack of boxes. Noah asks him what is up with the sudden visit, and Alan replies that his girl Ada has been picked up to become one of the Emperor's attendants, and he is here to thank Noah for making that possible. Noah recalls how he recommended Ada to become a servant in the Imperial Palace as part of a deal with Alan 6 years ago. He is impressed that the girl he chose rose to the rank of an attendant, and then remarks that Alan has spent a lot on the gifts. He says that everything he has brought is worth $30,000, and Alan is shocked to hear that he guessed the amount correctly. Anyway, he says that Ada has just become an attendant now, and he hopes that one day she achieves the rank of a concubine and then Emperor's wife. Above that is the title of the Empress, who is the Emperor's main girl, but that is not a position every wife can achieve. Even Noah's mother was not promoted to the post of a wife until he was awarded the title Wise Prince. He tells Alan that being selected as an attendant is just the first step in Ada's journey, because from here on out, she is going to be a part of the dirty palace politics. Alan doesn't understand what he means, so Noah tells him to imagine what would happen if another jealous maid replaced Ada's perfume with something that the Emperor hates. Alan is dumbfounded on hearing that, and Noah tells him that brutally competitive women are the most dangerous species on Earth. He tells the merchant to send Ada money regularly because she is going to need it if she wants to thrive in palace politics. Alan immediately rushes to make arrangements for that, and then Noah turns his attention to more important matters. He asks Zoe to deliver a letter and $10,000 to his mother. She asks if Dylan wouldn't be a better messenger to the palace, but Noah says that his mother lives in the interior palace where men are not allowed. Because of that rule, he can only meet his mother just once a year. Zoe pities him, but Noah doesn't deserve that feeling. He tells her to pass another message to his mother, telling her that he is acting as Ada's guardian. Zoe is taken aback on hearing that statement and asks Noah if he plans to use his mother for palace politics. He affirms, saying that profit and loss is more important than his bond with his mother, because that is how the imperial family rolls. He claims that if Ada becomes one of the Emperor's favorites, she can be a strong ally to his mother, and that will benefit everyone. Zoe is amazed at how the imperial family can't get rid of politics from their lives even if they want. She gets ready to deliver the letter, but Noah stops her and asks how her mother is doing. She replies that her mother is forever grateful to Noah for giving her a house and a stable job. But recently, she has experienced something strange while closing the gate at night. She saw a man sneaking around in the garden, and when she approached him to ask what he was doing, he ran away. Zoe says that her mother believes that someone is sneaking in and out of the mansion, and Noah finds that information interesting. He orders Zoe to tell her mother to keep it a secret, because he plans to find out how correct her information is. Later that night, as Zoe's mother is closing the date, someone approaches her from behind and uses a poison needle to kill her before she can even react. She falls dead on the ground, and the attacker reveals himself to be Orts, who tells the woman that it was her fault for discovering him. He runs away with that, but luckily, Zoe's mom is not dead yet. She is watching the scene with Zoe and Noah, who used Hua as a decoy to catch Orts red-handed. He orders Hua to retreat, and she playfully returns to her true self and then vanishes. After that, Noah tells Zoe and her mother to head back to their village under the excuse of burying her dead body. He says that they can't let Orts know that the woman he killed is still alive, and they should lay low till he is dealt with. Zoe and her mother get emotional on hearing this, but then Zoe asks Noah if it is really fine for him to let Orts get away with this. He reveals that he already has Hua keeping an eye on him, so they don't need to worry about anything. The next morning, in a quiet cabin near a lake, Orts wakes up with terrible injuries on his chest and stomach. As he struggles with the paint, Noah tells him to not move too much or his wounds will reopen. Orts doesn't understand what is happening, so Noah tells him that he was stabbed last night, but he might not remember it because of the shock. Noah tells Orts that last night, he reported to his handler that he killed a woman who spotted him, and in return, the handler stabbed him and threw him into the river because he failed his job as a spy. Luckily, Hua was keeping watch on him that time, and Noah was able to save him. He says that he always expected Orts to be discarded, but he never expected it to happen so quickly. Orts is in disbelief that Noah saw right through him and even accurately predicted his downfall. He regrets his life choices now and says that if he had really worked hard for Noah and not tried to spy on him, maybe his life would be different. Noah tells him that it is not too late for that, and Orts can't believe that he is willing to accept a failed spy as his servant once again. Noah replies that in exchange for that, Orts can't betray him because then he will face worse punishment than death. However, he also promises Orts that he won't cast him out for failing his job. Orts starts crying and falls to his knees, and he humbly accepts Noah's offer. Noah checks his stats and finds that his wind attribute has become stronger, which proves that Orts is really loyal to him now. He gives him his first order, which is to recover fully, after which he will assume a new identity. Noah decides to make him the governor of a remote region in his territory till things calm down in the capital. Orts thanks him for doing so much for him, and he decides to prove his loyalty by giving Noah some crucial information. He tells him that recently, Prince Gilbert gave the Emperor a gift, which is a part of his sinister plan. Noah freaks out on learning the truth, and he immediately heads to the Imperial Palace for an emergency meeting with his father. The Emperor asks him what has made him panic so much, and Noah asks him to stop drinking the wine that Prince Gilbert supplies him. The Emperor is curious about that and asks the reason behind the request, to which Noah replies that the wine is perfectly fine on its own, but if it is consumed with a specific food item, it becomes a deadly poison. The Emperor asks him to spill all the details at once, and Noah reveals that the special food is dragon's claw that the Emperor and the Crown Prince eat once a year in a ceremony to honor their ancestors. Since the Emperor and the Crown Prince have been drinking the wine for a year, everyone believes that it is safe. However, once they consume Dragon's Claw in the ceremony, both of them will die and no one will suspect Gilbert of anything. The Emperor asks Noah if he is sure of this, and he affirms, saying that he made a death row criminal try the combo of the wine and Dragon Claw, and he passed out before they could even give him first aid. The Emperor still finds this news a bit hard to process, but he fully trusts Noah and accepts his suggestion. He orders his assistant to summon Henry and launch a full-scale investigation of Gilbert's mansion. He praises Noah for unveiling this conspiracy and sends him home, promising to deliver his reward later. After that, the soldiers led by Henry arrest the servants at Gilbert's house, who testify that he was conducting deadly experiments on illegal slaves. It was confirmed that he planned to take the throne for himself after killing both the Emperor and the Crown Prince, but his plan was foiled thanks to Noah. Soon after that, the Emperor summons Noah, who can't stop thinking about how the incident was quite weird. Usually, the Emperor has the best intelligence network in the Empire, and he would have learned of this scheme already, but he reacted like he didn't know anything. Suddenly, Noah realizes that the Emperor was only acting ignorant, when in fact, he knew everything all along. Just then, the Emperor arrives there and confirms his doubts, adding that he was not drinking the wine at all. Noah is shocked to hear this and asks why didn't he take any actions then. The Emperor replies that he has many sons who think he has been the Emperor for too long, and now it is time to change the ruler. However, Noah doesn't seem to think like them, and that is why the Emperor trusts him more than other princes. He declares that Noah will now serve as the Vice Minister of Military Affairs on top of being the Minister of Justice, and he will also be the Governor General of the Imperial Guard. Noah accepts the reward without understanding what his father wants, but the answer becomes clear quickly. The emperor says that he won't go down without a fight, but it is possible that one of his sons might kill him and seize the throne. If that happens, he wants Noah to take the imperial guard and seize the capital, and then pick the next emperor himself, which is too much for him to process. Soon after that, Noah appears before the emperor along with Crown Prince Albert, and reports that they found concrete evidence in Gilbert's mansion that he was plotting to murder the emperor. Albert scoffs at him, saying that the ungrateful bastard is not even comparable to a dog. The emperor ignores his rants and asks Noah the punishment for Gilbert, and he replies that treason against the emperor is punishable by death, and Gilbert should be sliced in half at the waist. However, there are some technical issues in the case, and Noah says that they can also accuse Gilbert of attempted murder of the emperor, in which he gets a lighter sentence, even though he will die the same brutal death. In this case, the emperor can decide to let him rot in prison for as long as he wishes before sentencing him to death. Albert asks what is the need to complicate the matter like this when the end result is going to be the same. He suggests that they execute Gilbert immediately, but the emperor takes Noah's side, saying that he considered both the logical and emotional aspects of the case. He thanks Noah for that, who realizes that despite everything, the emperor still loves his first son and he wouldn't want to kill him, which is why he gave him a loophole that will instead result in a life sentence. Albert doesn't understand this with his zero-wrinkle brain and tells the emperor that they need to immediately kill everyone trying to harm him. He insists that they deal with all traitors without mercy, and the emperor gives in, leaving Gilbert's execution in his hands. Albert leaves the room, still cursing Gilbert under his breath. But once they are alone, the emperor tells Noah that he is indeed the wise prince for considering everything before passing a judgment. He says that he wants to reward Noah with Gilbert's territory for this, but Noah immediately rejects that idea and tells the emperor that he reported Gilbert's plan to him in secret. And if he is rewarded for that, the other princes will try to do the same. They will try to inform the emperor of the plans of their brothers to sabotage them and earn rewards. The emperor tells him to hold his horses because he was just wishing to do so. But he is aware of the dangers of such a reward. He tells Noah that he won't get a reward this time, but there is another good news for him. The emperor says that Noah is now old enough to relocate to his territory, and that means he needs a wife by his side. Noah is taken aback on hearing this because he knows that the legal wife of all the princes is chosen purely for political reasons, and personal feelings have no role in that. The emperor suggests the granddaughter of his uncle nicknamed Lightning Prince, saying that their fortune tellers claim that Noah and her DNA will combine to give birth to a very intelligent child that may even surpass Noah. Noah has no complaints against this sweet home Alabama marriage, and he accepts the emperor's suggestion immediately. Just as Noah leaves, the prime minister arrives there, praising the young prince for being mature enough to accept a girl he has never seen as his wife. He says that Noah is at the age where he is supposed to get interested in girls, but the way he acted nonchalantly is worthy of praise. The minister continues his boot licking and begins praising the emperor for his strategy of betting on Noah's child, who can be his successor. That way, he won't have to see his children fight for the throne, and if his grandchild is talented, the empire will be in safe hands. The emperor, however, says that it is just RNG from now on, and he can only hope that Noah's child is even more brilliant than him. Meanwhile, Noah is in his mansion with Orts bent over in front of him. He knows that the punishment for betraying his master is death and begs for it to be painless and quick. Noah tells him to chill out because he is not going to be punished, since he got free of all crimes by exposing the conspiracy against the emperor. He tells Orts that now that Gilbert has been executed, he doesn't need to change his identity and hide in some remote location. The reward for revealing treason is $10,000, but Noah decides to add another zero to it from his own pocket because Orts saved the life of his father. On top of that, he asks him what he wants to do from now on, and Orts replies that he will do whatever Noah wants because he is his master from now on. After that, Noah goes on a walk with his new maid Gigi, who keeps getting distracted by random things. She points towards a crowd and tells Noah that something interesting is going on there, so he decides to check it out. A young female knight is challenging the men in the crowd to fight her for an entry fee of $30, and if they win, they get to own her in any way they like. Noah realizes that since slave trading refers to selling other people, the girl is not doing anything illegal, but he still doesn't think that she is setting up a good example. As he watches, a big jacked guy steps up to challenge the girl and she gladly accepts it. The man charges at her, but the girl uses his momentum against him and slams him to the ground, defeating him in 3 seconds. The man runs away in embarrassment, but other desperate men queue up to fight the girl who mops the floor with all of them, and no one is bold enough to challenge her now. Just then, another man steps up to fight, but when the girl asks him to pay the entry fee, he refuses, saying that there will be no need for that since he is going to defeat her. He dashes towards her, and the girl feels slightly dizzy out of nowhere. Giving the man a chance to land a clean hit on her, he knocks her out and picks her up, saying that she belongs to him now, but Noah steps up and calls him a cheater. The guy gets angry at this allegation, but Noah points at the tiny poison dart on the girl's leg that was shot by his teammate. The man denies knowing anything about that, so Noah uses the power of Leviathan to give the creep's teammate a migraine that brings him to his knees. The creep denies knowing him, but the locals know all about them being friends. Noah tells the man to surrender, and he decides to attack him instead. Noah simply summons Leviathan and slashes his shoulders, making him fall to his knees and then run away while holding his clothes tightly. After that, he takes the girl to a restaurant where she regains her senses, and the waitress there tells her to thank Noah for saving her life. He asks her what is the last thing she remembers, and the girl replies that her legs stopped moving when the creep attacked her. He tells her that the creep's friend attacked her with a numbing poison, and then asks what the hell was she doing by challenging people in the public. The girl bitterly replies that she failed the night selection exam and ran out of money, and now she doesn't have enough to even return home. Noah finds it hard to believe that someone as skilled as her would fail the night selection exam, and the girl affirms, saying that she couldn't believe it either, so she got the results checked that lead her to the 10th prince, who was conducting the exams this year. He told her that he would let her pass the exam in exchange for a one-night stand, and being a woman of character, the girl refused. Noah can believe that the 10th prince would stoop so low just to hit it, and he asks the girl if she still wants to be a knight. She excitedly affirms, saying that she will work hard as long as it takes, but she will become a knight with her talent. Noah is impressed by that and gives her $1,000 so that she can live in the capital till the next night selection exam, because he likes people who don't compromise on their goals and methods. The girl asks him who is he when suddenly, the creep returns with his friends to get his revenge. The female knight is ready for a rematch too, but Noah steps up to deal with the creep on his own. Luthier starts reacting strongly at this, and Noah realizes that it is itching to bully some unfortunate street-level thugs. He links Luthier's power with his shield ring and creates two flaming shields in front of his fists that intimidate the thugs, but the creep tells them that they are just facing a kid. Noah waits for the thugs to attack him and knocks them out with his flaming gauntlets efficiently. The creep's partner tries to tranquilize him with his blow dart, but Noah shoots a fireball at him and knocks him out too. He then grabs the creep's neck and delivers a close-range blast to knock him out. The girl is terrified of Noah's skills now, and Gigi is also shocked because this is the first time she has seen him fight. Meanwhile, Noah turns to the rest of the creep's group and notices a knight there. The girl tells him that he is a knight of the 10th prince, and Noah understands everything. The terrified knight falls on his knees as he apologizes to Noah, who realizes that he was working with the creep as a side gig, but chickened out on learning his opponent's true identity. Meanwhile, the girl learns that Noah is the famous wise prince, and she is smitten by how he doesn't flaunt his status despite how talented he is. Noah decides to let the knight off the hook because he didn't actually do anything this time, and tells him to handle the punishment of the thugs. The knight immediately hauls the thugs away, and suddenly, a drunk old man starts clapping for Noah, saying that he handled things in the most remarkable manner. Noah wonders who the hell is that guy. But then he sees a golden gourd next to him and immediately realizes the identity of its owner. He falls on his knees to greet Indra, the lightning prince, who is going to be his grandfather-in-law. The horned old man is pleased that Noah knows about him, and the crowd is curious to learn that he is a prince too. Noah thinks about how his father became the emperor when he was quite young, and that time, Indra was the person with practically all the power. The empire was in constant chaos at that time, and Indra single-handedly brought order everywhere. Then, after 5 years, when the emperor was old enough, Indra retired from politics quietly without asking for anything in exchange. For his actions in bringing peace quickly through the empire and preparing the emperor, Indra earned the title of the Lightning Prince. Noah feels that it is a special occasion that he has come to the capital, and he knows the reason behind it too. Indra asks him to sit with him for a chat and remarks that the emperor must have already talked to Noah if he knows about him. Noah affirms and asks Indra if he is here to evaluate him, and the Lightning Prince affirms. He says that though he trusts the emperor's judgment, he needs to see the guy with whom his dear granddaughter is going to spend her life. Noah finds Indra's manners lacking compared to other members of the imperial family. but he knows that he is built different and doesn't care much about the rules and formalities. He asks him what will he do if he finds him unworthy of his granddaughter, and Indra replies that he will not agree to the marriage in that case. Noah reminds him that it is an order from the emperor himself, but Indra clearly tells him that the order means jackshit to him. Though he would do anything else the emperor asks, he says that his granddaughter's life is a personal subject and not a political one, and the emperor is his nephew. So if he makes a mistake, he will just smack some sense into him. Noah now realizes that Indra doesn't want power, which is why no one calls him out on being rude. He asks him if he passes his test, and Indra replies that they are about to find that out. Suddenly, Noah feels an immense pressure crushing him, and he realizes that this is what he does to other people with Leviathan. He decides to fight back against Indra with Leviathan's power and manages to put the pressure on him. He plans to crush him to show him who is the boss, but then he realizes that he should be competitive against someone who is much senior than him and his potential grandfather-in-law. So he decides to keep the pressure even so that no one wins or loses, and Indra is thoroughly amused at this. He laughs and accepts defeat, telling Noah that he read his technique perfectly and chose not to humiliate him in public when he could do that easily. He accepts him as his grandson-in-law and throws gold coins at the waiter, telling him to bring out all the booze they have and inviting anyone who wants to drink to join him. He then gives Noah a ring as the engagement gift. As soon as Noah holds the ring, he hears a voice asking him to prove his strength, and the next thing he knows is that he is in the middle of a grassy meadow. Suddenly, a mechanical bull charges at him, and Noah summons Leviathan to send it flying. As soon as he does that, the bull tells Noah that its name is Behemoth, and he accepts him as its new master. With that, Noah returns to his senses, and Indra starts telling him about Behemoth. Noah checks his stats and finds that his light attribute is ranked 0. He immediately uses its power on a jug of water that turns golden as he touches it and pours a golden liquid. Indra is astonished by that because even he couldn't fully control Behemoth after all these years, but Noah did it in a few seconds. Noah finds it hard to believe, and Indra says that Behemoth only told him its name and he wishes to see its magnificent form again. Noah fulfills his wish by making a miniature copy of Behemoth and tells Indra that he can learn more about its abilities by making it fight his other weapons. Indra doesn't understand that, so Noah summons Leviathan, Luthier, Chihuahua, and Behemoth, but then something happens that even he could not foresee. The 4 sentient weapons begin to synergize their power and emit a golden light that makes Noah feel like he is on the top of the world. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.